Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel, and today I wanted to start off with my first video of 2021 with discussing the topic of discipleship in a post-COVID world. Now, obviously 2020 is behind us. We are now in the new year of 2021, and in thinking about what we can be focusing on for this year, I think one thing that will be important for believers to grasp is how we are going to conduct discipleship in a post-COVID world. And in reality, I think that we can truly take hold of what the Bible talks about in terms of getting together and gathering in small numbers and groups, which falls under the COVID regulations that many governments have instituted around the world. Now, when we think about discipleship, we might think of D groups that have been conducted by various organizations throughout the last couple of decades, or different types of discipleship methods that have been instituted within different organizations and churches and denominations. But when we think about what we can do in discipleship in a post-COVID world, I have a couple of ideas about what that could look like. Well, number one, I think it could look like what we see in Acts 2:46, when we see the disciples just after Jesus' ascension and Pentecost. We see them gathering together in one another's houses, and we see them being able to worship and celebrate the Lord together in those small numbers, even though there were a great many that were coming to know Jesus and adding to the body of Christ. Now, with that being said, I think that with all the COVID regulations of people having to meet in fewer numbers in gatherings and in locations, I think we could see a resurgence of this type of style of meeting, where we as believers get together in smaller numbers, not only to worship the Lord, but also to train one another and build one another up in the Lord. And I think this is going to be a vital aspect of reworking discipleship in a post-COVID world. Because when we get together, I think that we as Christians have the opportunity to affect such change when we're actually devoting time to be able to pouring into new believers. I believe that another important aspect when we're thinking about discipleship in a post-COVID world is that it's going to change our mindset about what it means to actually devote ourselves to those that we're discipling. I think that with the removal of distractions of major events and major concerts and things like that, although they are useful and important for us, I think in some aspects, I think the removal of so many major events and so many things that we could be preoccupied and distracted by, I think those things that now that they're gone largely, that we now as the church can focus on discipling new believers in a very intense and a very devoted manner. Now, in saying that, I think that more believers will start drawing upon the letters of Paul now more than ever in terms of looking at what discipleship looked like during the first century of believers. I think 1st and 2nd Timothy are going to be vital for us to understand, and if you haven't read those before, I encourage you to read them now, because when we think about 1st and 2nd Timothy, we see this relationship between Paul and one of his most beloved disciples, Timothy. And I think when we understand the type of relationship that we can and should have with our disciples and disciple makers, I think it's important to see how we're going to start seeing a transition to seeing a discipleship heavy church, especially in the West. And so as we're going into 2021 and being in this preparation mindset like I talked about in my previous video, I want you to think about how you can prepare yourself, your home, or wherever you could meet, to meet with those that you might be able to disciple. Now understand, there are some people that might not be able to physically meet in person, even if it means they could meet in small numbers. The best solution that I'd recommend is even trying to do things through kind of FaceTime based systems, whether it's Zoom or WebEx or Microsoft Teams or through Apple FaceTime or Google Meet. No matter what you use, we have no excuse for not being able to meet together and do some form of discipleship, because the Bible tells us we are called to be disciple makers. The Great Commission tells us that we are supposed to go and make disciples of all nations. And when we go do that, we are fulfilling what Christ has commanded us to do. And I pray that you'll be considering how you can be a disciple maker this year, that you can make an impact in somebody's life that could impact generations upon generations. But anyway, that's all that I have for you in this video today. If you're interested about learning what I have in mind about discipleship and previous discussions I've talked about in this topic, then I will leave a link to that video series in the end of this video. But if you have something that you'd like for me to cover in a future video, please leave that suggestion down in the comment section down below, and I'd be happy to get back to it as soon as possible. Anyway, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Be blessed.